Hi all, welcome back to i-TUTOR IAS Academy Tamil Nadu History NCERT series. Today we are discussing Unit 17, that is India under the Delhi Sultanate. In last video, that is chapter 16, we discussed about Delhi Sultanate rulers and starting of them. So today we are discussing their administration, architecture, like that. Okay, so India under the Delhi Sultanate, the time period is 1206 to 1526 is the time period of Delhi Sultanate. Was a significant period of Turkic and Afghan Muslim rule. Okay, so characterized by five successive dynasties that we already discussed in chapter 16. That is Mamluk, Khalji, Tughlaq, Sayyid, Lodi, and that governed much of the subcontinent from Delhi, leading to major Islamic culture, architecture like Qutub Minar, and administrative developments before the rise of the Mughals. Right. So, in this chapter, we are going to learn about administration under the Delhi Sultanate, economic condition, social life, and art and architecture, literary development. All these things we discussed in this chapter. So, here we will discuss further. Okay. So, first of all, we will discuss about administration of India under the Delhi Sultanate. So, here is one map of Delhi Sultanate. So, these all are the region of Delhi Sultanate that time. Okay, the establishment and expansion of Delhi Sultanate led to evolution of a powerful and efficient administrative system. And at its zenith, the authority of Delhi Sultanate had extended as far south as Madurai, and although the Delhi Sultanate had disintegrated, their administrative system made a powerful impact on the Indian provincial kingdom and later on Mughal system of administration. And Delhi Sultanate was an Islamic state with its religion Islam. The Sultan considered themselves as representative of Caliph, and they include the name of Caliph in the Kutab uh, or prayer and inscribed in it on their coins. Although Balban called himself the shadow of God, and he continued to practice of including the name of Caliph in the Kutubba and coins. And Iltutmish, Muhammad bin Tughlaq, and Firoz Tughlaq obtained a Manzur or letter of permission from the Caliph. And the office of the Sultan was the most important in the administrative system. He was the ultimate authority for the military, legal, and political activities, and there was no clear law of succession during this period. All the sons had equal claim to the throne. Iltutmish even nominated his daughter in preference to his sons, and but such a nomination or succession were to be accepted by the nobles. Sometimes ulema played crucial role in accepting the succession to the throne. However, the military superiority remained the main factor in matters of succession. Next is central government. The Sultan was assisted by a number of department and officials in his administration. The post of Naib was the most powerful one. The Naib practically enjoyed all the powers of the Sultan and exercised general control over the department. Next to him was the Wazir, who was heading the finance department called Diwani Wizarat. Okay, and the military department was called Diwani Aris. So, this is the finance department called Diwani Wizarat, and it was headed by Aris I Mumalik. He was responsible for recruiting the soldiers and administering the military department. He was not the commander in chief of the army. The Sultan himself was the commander in chief of the army. The military department was first set up by Balban, and it was further improved by Alauddin Khalji, under whom the strength of the army crossed 3 lakh soldiers. And Alauddin introduced the system of granting of the houses and payment of salary in cash, and cavalry was given important under the Delhi Sultanate. Diwani Razalat was the department of religious affairs. It was headed by Chief Zadar. Grant were made by this department for the construction and maintenance of mosque, tomb, and madrasas. The head of the judicial department was the chief Qasi, and other judges or Qasis were appointed in various parts of the Sultanate. Muslim personal law or Sharia was followed in civil matters. The Hindus were governed by their own personal law, and their cases were dispensed by the village panchayat. And the criminal law was based on the rulers and regulations made by the sultans, and the department of correspondence was called Diwani Insha. All the correspondence between the rulers and the officials was dealt by this department only. Okay, so this is about the central government and administration. Next is local administration. The provinces under the Delhi Sultanate were called iktas. So, local administration provinces called iktas. And they were initially under the control of nobles, but the governors of the provinces were called the muktis or walis, and were to maintain law and order and collect the land revenue. The provinces were divided into shiks, and the next division was parganas. Okay, so divisions called parganas, and the shik was under the control of shiktadar. Okay, shikdar. Okay, take care of the spelling, shikdar. Okay, and pargana comprising a number of villages were headed by amil. The village remained the basic unit of the administration. The village headman was known as Mukadam or Chaudhry. Okay, so this is the village headman, and the village accountant was called Patwari. Accountant was called Patwari. So this is about the local administration and the economy under Sultanate. After consolidation their position in India, the Delhi Sultan introduced reform in the land revenue administration. The lands were classified into three categories. One is Ikta land, second is Kaliza land, and the third is Inam land. So, what is Ikta land? Lands assigned to officials as Iktas instead of payment for their services. And Kalisa land, land under the direct control of Sultan, and the revenues collected were spent for maintenance of royal court and royal household. Inam land, land assigned or granted to religious leaders or religious institutions. And the peasantry paid one third of their produce as land revenue, and sometime even one half of the produce. They also paid other taxes and always led a hand to mouth living. Frequent famine made their lives more miserable. However, sultans like Muhammad B. Tughlaq and Firoz Tughlaq took effort to enhance agricultural production by providing irrigation facilities and by providing takawi loans. And they also encouraged the farmers to cultivate superior crop like wheat instead of barley. Firoz encouraged the growth of horticulture. Muhammad bin Tughlaq created a separate agricultural department, that is Diwani Kohi. During the Sultan period, the process of urbanization gained momentum. A number of cities and towns had grown during this period, and Lahore, Multan, Bauch, and Hilwara, and Lucknowti, and Daulatabad, Delhi, and Jaunpur were important among them. Delhi remained the large city in the east. The growth of trade and commerce was described by contemporary writers. India exported a large number of commodities to the countries on Persian Gulf and West Asia, and also to Southeast Asia countries. And overseas trade was under the control of Multanis and Afghan Muslims. Inland trade was dominated by the Gujarat Marwari merchant and Muslim Bohora merchant. Construction of roads and their maintenance facilitated for smooth transport and communication. Particularly, the royal roads were kept in good shape, and sarais or rest house on the highway were maintained for the convenience of the travelers. And cotton textiles and silk industry flourished in this period, and sericulture was introduced on a large scale, which made India less dependent on other countries for the import of raw silk. And paper industry had grown, and there was a extensive use of paper from 14th and 15th centuries. And other craft like leather making, metal craft, carpet weaving flourished due to the increasing demand. The royal karkhanas supplies the goods needed to the sultan and his household, and they manufactured costly articles made of gold, silver and goldware. The nobles also apt the lifestyle of sultans and indulged in luxurious life. They were well paid and accumulated enormous wealth. And the system of coinage had also developed during the Delhi Sultanate. Iltutmish issued several types of silver tangas, and one silver tanga was divided into 48 jitals, and during the Khalji rule, and 50 jitals during the Tughlaq rule. And gold coins or dinars became popular during the reign of Alauddin Khalji after his South Indian conquest. And copper coins were less in number and dateless. And Muhammad bin Tughlaq had not only experimented token currency but also issued several type of gold and silver coins. And they were minted at 8 different places. At least 25 varieties of gold coin were issued by him. So this is about the economy under Delhi Sultanate time. Okay. Next is social life. There was a little change in the structure of Hindu society during this period and social life. And traditional caste system with the Brahmins on the upper strata of the society was prevalent. The subservient so position of women also continued, and the practice of sati was widely prevalent. And the seclusion of women and the wearing of parda became common among the upper class women. The Arabs and Turks brought the parda system into India, and it became widespread among the Hindu women in the upper class of the North India. And during the Sultanate period, the Muslim society remained divided into several ethnic and racial groups. The Turks, Iranians, Afghans, Indian Muslims developed exclusively, and there were no intermarriages between these groups. The Hindu converts from lower caste were also not given equal respect. The Muslim nobles occupied high offices, and very rarely the Hindu nobles were given high position in the government. The Hindus were considered simmis or protected people for which they were forced to pay a tax called jizya. Okay, the Hindu were paid the tax. It's called jizya. And in the beginning, jizya was collected as part of land tax, and Firoz Tughlaq separated it from the land revenue and collect jizya as separate tax. Okay, sometimes the Brahmins were exempted from paying jizya. Okay, so this is the social structure of Delhi Sultanate, especially in the Hindu society. Next is art and architecture. Okay, so this is the picture. One picture is there. This is Quat ul Islam Mosque. The art and architecture of Delhi Sultanate period was distinct from the Indian style. The Turks introduced arcs, domes, lofty towers, or minarets, and decorating using Arabic script. They used the skill of Indian stone cutters, and they also added colors to their building by using marbles, red and yellow sandstones. In the beginning, they convert temples and other structure demolished into mosque. And for example, Kuwat ul Islam Mosque near Qutb Minar in Delhi was built by using materials obtained from the destroying many Hindu and Jain temples. But later they began to construct new structures. The most magnificent building of 13th century was the Qutb Minar, which was founded by Aibak and completed by Iltutmish. And this 71-meter tower was dedicated to the Sufi saint Qutbuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. The balconies of this tower were projected from the main building, and it was the proof of the architectural skill of that period. Later, Alauddin Khalji added the entrance to the Qutb Minar called Alai Darwaza. Okay, the entrance of the Qutb Minar. And the dome of this arc was built on scientific lines. The building of the Tughlaq period were constructed by combining arcs and domes. They also used the cheaper and easily available grey color stones. The place complex called Tughlaqabad with its beautiful lake was the beautiful lake was built during the period of Gyansuddin Tughlaq, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq built the tomb of Ghiyasuddin on a high platform. The Kotla fort at Delhi was the creation of Firoz Tughlaq. The Lodi garden in Delhi was the example for the architectural of the Lodis. So that is about Lodi garden. So this is the art and architecture of this time. And next is music and literature. The new musical instruments such as sarangi and rabab were introduced during this period. Amir Khusro introduced many new ragas such as Gora and Sanam. He evolved a new style of light music known as Qawwalis by blending the Hindu and Iranian systems. The invention of sitar was also attributed to him, and the Indian classical work Raga Darpan was translated into Persian during the reign of Firoz Tughlaq. Pir Modan, a Sufi saint, was one of the great musicians of this period, and Raja Mansingh of Gwalior was a great lover of music. He encouraged the composition of a great musical work called Man Kutuhal. Okay, Man Kutuhal. The spelling is Mankutuhal. You can pronounce your own way. Okay, and literature. Next is literature. So this is the picture of Amir Khusro. The Delhi Sultan patronized learning and literature. Many of them had great love for Arabic and Persian literature. Learned men came from Persia, and Persian language got encouragement from the rulers. Besides theology and poetry, the writing of history was also encouraged. Some of the sultans had their own court historians. And the most famous historians of this period was Hassan Nizami, Minhaj us Siraj, and Sudauddin Barani, and Shams Siraj Afif, and Barani's Tariq I Firoz Shahi contain the history of Tughlaq dynasty. Minhaj as Siraj wrote Tabakat I Nazari, a general history of Muslim dynasties up to 1260. And Amir Khusro, the time period is 1252 to 1325, was the famous Persian writer of this period, and he wrote a number of poems. He experimented with several poetical forms and created a new style, Persian poetry called Sabak I Hind, or the Indian style. He also wrote some Hindi verses, and Amir Khusro's Kazain ul Futu speak about Alauddin's conquest. His famous work Nama deals with the rise of uh, Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq. Okay, so that is the name is Tughlaq Nama. And the Sanskrit and Persian functioned as link language in the Delhi Sultanate. Persia and language and the Sanskrit language. And Zia Nakshabi was the first to translate Sanskrit stories into Persian. The book Tutunama, or Book of the Parrot, became popular and translated into Turkish and later into many European languages. The famous Raja Tarangini, written by Kalhana, belonged to the period of Sayyid ul Abidin, the ruler of Kashmir. Many Sanskrit works on medicine and music were translated into Persian in this time. And in Arabic, Al Baruni Kitab ul Hind is the most famous work, and regional languages also developed during this period. Chand Baradi was the famous Hindi poet of this period, and Bengali literature had also developed, and Nusrat Shah patronized the translation of Mahabharata into Bengali. And the Bhakti cult led to development of Gujarati and Marathi languages. The Vijayanagar Empire patronized Telugu and Kannada literature. Okay, so it's all about this unit, and in two unit we covered about Delhi Sultanate, and it's about its rulers and its administration, etc. Okay, so far we discussed the central government and local administration under the Delhi Sultanate, economic life of the people of India under the Delhi Sultan, and social condition and impact of Muslim rule on Indian society, architectural contributions, Persian and other scholars lived during the Delhi Sultanate and their contributions. Okay, these all we discussed in this unit. So today we end here with in case any doubts, you can contact anytime. And for more content, do like, share and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.
Do like, share, and subscribe our channel. Thank you so much.